Oh hell, here we go again. We know my history with Mahindra has not been a pretty one, but I stand by all my reviews, and the XUV300 that I reviewed I quite liked, and I still do. So this shan't be as bad as some of the other ones like KUV100, etc. I'm in the updated version of the XUV300, which means that they've taken that very sort of cream light beige interior and changed it to this black interior. You can have cloth or leather. Bit of a shame because I loved that look. I thought it actually looked so stunning, and it looked quite premium obviously, but it's not practical. Nope, that is not practical. That is gonna, grime, scrum. If you've got family, if you've got kids in the car, gross. Kind of like me at home, I'm desperate for a white big Santorini couch, but with a toddler I can't do it. I can't. It sucks. Anyways, they've also changed this infotainment system from a 7-inch to a 9-inch screen, so it looks fine, like the size and whatever. That's it, that's where it ends for me. So I'm not criticizing Mahindra for the sake of criticizing, which I know a lot of you are going to come at me for, but please come at me. I don't mind, because I stand by my reviews and I stand by what I say in them. So this infotainment system is just far too outdated. It doesn't work seamlessly. It's a little bit blurry as well, which is not a vibe. The other thing that's bothering me, so I didn't want to put it on the Android Auto. It was taking me time to figure out, it wasn't working easily, so I was like, oh, you know what, I just won't have it on there. But the system keeps putting me into this link, delink, think or whatever to have to do. So it's so frustrating. So I just went in and actually turned off all of that so that it will stop prompting me. I think that just needs an update, and that might come sort of if there's a big facelift or in the new model, but it just does need to be. If you look at the likes of its competitors, it's just not up to scratch, which is fine. There's like little quirks about it, I think, that you're going to be fine with or you're not. So I'm going to tell you what they are so that you know about them, okay? So something like when you enter the car, it plays like a jingle for you, okay? So that's fine. I don't mind that, like whatever. But when you turn the car off, it also jingles. Now, if you're a mom or dad and you've got a child who's in the car sleeping, that jingle can be quite annoying. So that I don't love, and if there's a way to turn it off, great, but I can't figure that out, okay? The other thing is that this infotainment system takes a long time to load. So when I start the car, I timed it, so it took about a minute for it to eventually come on, which I just don't think is good enough. I think it needs to be quicker. I'm a very impatient person though, so someone else, that might not bother you. Then I'm going to get into the stop start, and I know Mahindra's now holding their breath because they pissed off with the last time I mentioned because it was so crap. This is also crap. Thankfully you can turn it off, but what irritates me is that it's default. It never, it defaults back to being on. So constantly whenever I get in the car, I have to turn it off. Sometimes I forget. So 3 times now I've stalled this car, and I say stalled, not stalled it by my own driving skills or lack thereof, I can tell you. Because what it is, it's not quick enough, it's not responsive enough. So I was at a robot, the stop start kicked in, so now the car was off, and I sort of looked down at the very slow infotainment system, and as I was about to go, I looked up, the robot was green, I didn't want everyone to wait, I was, oops, sorry, like there was a bit of a delay, and everyone hoots at you here if you don't, like, off the mark on that green robot. So I put the clutch in, put the in gear, whatever, and then it just stalled. The whole car went off, and then I had to now start the car again. Couldn't like start it, and it just happened to me again now. I actually got it on camera, but that was for another publication, so I can't put it on my own video. But as much as everyone wants to say that there's nothing wrong with it, I drive a different car every single week, and 99% of them have stop start, and I never have an issue with them. I don't like it. I hate stop start, and it's intrusive and it's irritating, but it never ever stalls my car or doesn't kick in quick enough. So that can't be on me. I won't allow it to be. Okay, but what it does, there are very, very many positives to this car, okay? One is the space. That rear legroom is incredible. It's really great. The problem is the boot is really small, so you've got to compromise there. So that's just a letdown there. But when it comes to the engine, This 1.5 litre turbo diesel, which has got like just up to 87 kilowatts of power and 300 newton meters of torque, it's super punchy. And I think it's refined. I think it's a lovely little engine, actually. And the fuel consumption, so they claim 4.8 litres per 100 Ks. I'm sitting at like 5.8 litres, which is really, really, really good. This segment, fuel consumption is hugely, hugely important. And I think Mahindra's done a fantastic job with making sure that this engine's literage, fuel consumption is very low.
Hey baby, won't you look my way? I can be your new addiction.
Everybody talks, everybody talks.
It started with a whisper,
And that was when I kissed her. Everybody talks, babe. Also something to note, that the XUV300 is considered the safest car in Africa. Got 5-star rating, global NCAP. And that was with the entry level, the 2019 model. So it's not even the top of the range one with all the extra safety features. So it's something really, I think, that Mahindra should shout out louder. Do you know? Now maybe they do and I just haven't noticed that, but I think that's a huge draw card for somebody who's in this, looking in this segment, and with the whole family in the car, kids in the car and stuff. You want to know that you're in a very, very safe car. And I think a lot of people consider like Mahindra or Chery or Haval, anything that's not their typical sort of German brands or their like trusty, rusty Japanese brands or whatever, and they just think, oh, they're cheap and therefore not safe. And that's not the case with Mahindra, clearly. There is like other, like the quirks that I speak about, like the smell of the car. I've gotten used to it now, but sometimes in the morning when I get in, I'm sort of like, it's that sort of cheap plastic smell. And unfortunately, I think that will deter people. I know somebody who sold their car because they couldn't handle the smell. That was the only reason. They loved everything else about it, but they couldn't handle the smell, and so they sold it. Something that needs to be sorted out, something that does need to be fixed, unfortunately. And then I've got one last complaint, okay? And I am nitpicking because that is actually what I'm supposed to do. That is part of my job. But the boot, you have to move it closed in order for it to be closed. So I closed it the other day, and then it told me that the door was open, and it was showing me that the left door was open, but that's just the signage or whatever. So then I got out, I closed all the doors, closed the boot again, still open, whatever, closed the doors fine, boot, slammed it like crazily, and then it worked. And it's happened to me every time I've used the boot. So, that's just like a practicality kind of thing or whatever. That would bother me if I had to drive this every day and use that boot every single day. But, okay, I think Mahindra is still going in the right direction and is really sort of, I would say like leaps and bounds, like getting there, do you know? The problem is, when I reviewed this car back in 2019, a lot of the models weren't, on the market yet. And so it would have been something that if anybody asked me in this segment whether I would recommend it, I'd say yes, okay? So the pricing for this car specifically, this top of the range one, is just under 337,000 Rand, brand new. So it is kind of good value for money. The problem is now that the rivals are just too good. So the Kia Sonet, the Chery Tiggo 4 Pro, the Hyundai Venue, they're all just too good for me to consider this at the top of I wouldn't recommend this over and above those by any means. I think it's better than a Renault Kiger, that's for sure, and a Nissan Magnite, actually. So, like I say, it's getting there. And I'm not being unfair to Mahindra or whatever. I'm saying it's better than some of the cars, but it's just not good enough in terms of the other ones that are just too good. So, unleash the comments, unleash the abuse that I'm about to get from all the Mahindra fans. But like I say, bring it,